answer all the hard questions.
I'm the camera person.
We're going to talk today about electronic collaboration, and we have an agenda here, but we really like to make this interactive, and we really want to get your input, so just feel free to stop at any time, ask questions, give ideas, whatever. So let's make it interactive. I guess we'll start with what it is. You probably all used email, so you're really collaborating electronically. What we're going to talk more about is real-time electronic collaboration. And that's like this meeting right here, is where I talk to you and you talk to me and we interact in real time. Except we're going to do it where you don't have to be in the same place. If you want to see better, come on and sit up closer.
Yeah, maybe
because the monitors aren't as big as
just
the
where the
TV, so
agendas are. Yeah.
feel free. A couple seats up here too, if you want to see. So we're going to show you lots of different technologies, and we're going to try and give more demo than talking. We're going to show different systems here, different quality systems. Basically, you get what you pay for. So we're going to start with a scenario of Rhonda's going to be in Microsoft Word. Rhonda's maybe going to be in Microsoft Word. And she's going to have a problem, and I'm going to play the part of the help desk. And I'm going to try and help her with her problem, but we're going to pretend that I can't see the monitor. Okay? So Rhonda dials the help desk. Hello, help desk.
And I have a problem. I'm trying to, I've got a document here with a picture and some words, and I need to know how to format my document in order to get the words to go around the picture. Can you help me with that?
Go around the picture, okay, like
Yeah,
in
like
a circle around them, like with word art or something like that?
Yeah, I've got this picture in my Word document, and the words are like on the top and they're on the bottom. But I can't figure out how to get them to the sides.
I've done that before, and I know how to do it if I could see it, but I don't have Word on my desk. I don't have it on my system, so I can't help you with it. Hold on one second.
Maybe someone's got the answer.
What? Yeah. Oh, here it is. So I know how to do it, but I can't see it. Can you kind of read off some of the menu items?
Well, let's see, there's File, Edit, View, Insert, Format, Tools.
Try the File menu. Or maybe it was the View. What was that you said again were the options?
File, Edit,
Oh,
View.
that's okay. I'll just stop over sometime. Where are you located?
I'm on Plaza 3 on the 14th floor.
But I'm in Tuttle Crossing. I'm never going to be able to get over there. You don't need this today or anything, do you?
Well, it was kind of important. I had a
Can
meeting
you get
later on
somebody else?
today.
Okay, well, we won't worry about that. Okay. So there's one problem where hopefully we'll show you that electronic collaboration can help. And after we go through all the scenarios, we'll solve Rhonda's problem for her electronically. Okay, question. And remember, we want to make this interactive. How many people think they can do their job today if they work at home 4 out of 5 days a week and they only come in 1 day? Al, you don't count. Who can do their job? Who can do, if they were at home and they had a computer system, who can do their job from home without coming in 4 of those days? Nobody? Okay, why not? If you can't do it, meetings, okay? Any other reason? Is that pretty much?
Write those on the board.
My boss wants to see my face.
Okay.
Write those on the board, Tom.
You're on the right.
Meeting.
Meetings.
Meetings.
Face to face. So if you have,
I want to see Al's new haircut.
yeah, Al's new haircut. Any other reason? So if it wasn't for meetings and it wasn't face-to-face meeting, everybody could do their job at their home. Office, okay. All right. Any other ideas? Okay.
Was that getting
Mail.
postal mail?
the paper mail, but nobody uses paper anymore, right? We're all doing everything electronically. Okay,
The customers use paper.
the customer uses, okay.
We have to handle the paper
Okay,
at
does
least once.
does anybody ever go into anybody else's cubicle and look on their screen and try and debug their code or anything like that? You do that, okay? That'd be kind of hard to do if you were on the telephone. Well, look here, that could be complicated. All right, so nobody can work at home except Al. All right, Al, you get to work at home. All right, some of the ways that this technology can help you. When we show you how this all works, it'll make more sense. You can reduce travel time. Let's say that you want to meet with the whole group, like right now, we could have this as a virtual meeting. You wouldn't have to come all the way to the 38th floor. You could just sit at your desks or sit at your home, and you could attend this meeting virtually. We could provide training. I'm just going to go over some of these real quick. We don't need conference rooms anymore if we do everything electronically. We don't need to have this whole floor filled with conference rooms. We can use it for something else. Let's see some of the other ones. We'll skip some of those. Okay, let's go ahead and go into the meeting or into the demo here. What we have set up is Rhonda is going to call Sajitha, who works in our group, and she's in the other building. And if you see right here, we have a directory server. And she just clicked on Sajitha. Ah, there she is.
Hi, Sajitha.
Hi. Sure.
Tell her to turn her speakers down a little bit, and you turn yours up. Yeah.
Can you turn your speaker down a
We're
little
getting
bit?
an echo. If you hear the echo, this is one example
Is it better?
of a lower-end video conferencing. The one we're going to show you here has echo cancellation and some fancy features, but this costs a lot more. So we're going to go ahead and show you this first.
Yes, that's much better.
Did you turn your volume up a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. Rhonda's wearing the headset because that has noise cancellation built into it. So that in a big room here where we have the speaker up loud enough so you can hear it, then it won't pick up and it won't get feedback from the microphone here. Okay. Why don't we go ahead and pretend that you set up a meeting and you want to show a spreadsheet to somebody, or you invited them into your cubicle. Go ahead and bring up the spreadsheet.
Okay, Sajitha. We're going to
Yes, Rhonda?
we're going to share a spreadsheet.
Okay.
So I can come up here and say share Microsoft Excel.
Can she turn her speakers down anymore?
Can you turn your
Or
speakers
won't
down
she be
again?
able to hear us? We're
There's a nice
losing
shot of the
her.
wall.
Have her move the camera over.
Get in the camera.
She's camera shy. While she's bringing that up, I'll talk about the cameras. Here's just some examples of some of the different cameras that we're using. You can see this is the one that Rhonda's using right there. There's just lots of different kinds, and the cost for these is coming down really fast so that monitors are going to have cameras built into them, and these are expected to cost about $50 in another year.
Yes, I can.
So just like today, you get a CD-ROM, and whenever you buy a PC, you're most likely to get a CD-ROM. Well, in the near future, you're just going to get a camera. It's not a matter of, do you want to have this or not? It's so cheap, they just build it into the PC. Okay, Rhonda has a spreadsheet up here, and Sajitha on the other end needs to look at it. So she can see the exact same thing on her end. It doesn't matter whose system you have it. It's only running on one system. And now you can see Sajitha has control of the spreadsheet. So she can highlight something or have her change some of the numbers.
Why don't you change some numbers and highlight a section and build a quick little graph.
So the same way with collaboration, you can do learning on this too. Say that Rhonda doesn't know how to do a graph. Does Sajitha know how to do a graph?
Now I can show her how.
There you go. So she's highlighting it.
I've made the changes to to the current budget for 1998, but I'm not sure how I can build a graph with it. Could you kind of walk me through it?
Sure, I'll take over and I'll show you. So now I've got control.
Now Rhonda's actually in control, and Sujitha can see on the other end what's going on.
Now you click the chart wizard and hit next through it. And now we've got a chart.
And there she has it. So now you can work on it with a group of people, or you can work on it with just one other person, and you can each take turns taking control.
Hi, Rhonda, this was very neat. I could see through what you were doing, and I think I can do it again the next time.
Great.
Okay. So that's one example. That just happens to show Excel. You could use any Windows application. So if you had some proprietary application loaded only on your system and the other person didn't have it, you could install the NetMeeting software and you could share this across a network, across the world, across the internet. We'll get into some more of the details of that later. Okay, why don't we go show the chat next?
Okay, we're going to go into chat next.
And then stop collaborating. And you might notice on Sujitha's end, the picture is not real smooth. This is another indication that it's not one of the real expensive systems. You see she's a little bit jerky as she moves.
Is that a bandwidth problem?
It can be a number of problems. We'll get into the details later, but this particular problem is because we have a less expensive camera.
So it's not fine enough.
It's not fast enough because what happens is it has to capture the picture 30 frames per second, and this lower end camera can't do that. Plus the bandwidth, combined with the bandwidth. I'm not sure exactly what throughput is from here over to Plaza 3 right now, but I know with this camera it's not as good as this camera over here. Well, while she's doing that, I'll explain that when we get to the hardware and software part. You see right here, actually she's using Jennifer's machine. When she types something, it comes up as what she said with her name, and when Rhonda types something, and you could have 50 people in here if you want, and they can type back and forth. And the nice thing about this is you can save the virtual conversation. So let's say that you had a meeting where it was with the chat, and people were typing back and forth. She could save this as a text file, put it up on a web page, and then you'd have a whole transcript of what went on during that conversation. Saving it? Save it as a text file. Has anybody used the chat that we have in-house here at all? Talk about that a little bit. About a year ago, Corporate Communications wanted to find better ways to communicate with the employees. And so they came to me and I set up a chat server. It's similar to this, but it's on a different system. Anybody can log into that. All you need is a Java-capable browser, and you can log in to the chat server, and whoever else is logged in, imagine there were 10 people logged in here, you could see who was logged in and you could carry on a conversation. They haven't quite figured out how to use that for a business purpose yet, but in the meantime, every Wednesday from 12 to 1, we have a trivia contest, just to kind of get used to it. And if you go to our webpage, which I believe is on here, you can find the link to the chat. So every Wednesday from 12 to 1, if you want to play a trivia contest and find out how the technology works, and then of course tell us how you think you can use the technology, then just come to that website.
Is the site open all the time?
No, it's only open during the trivia contest. In the future though, it will probably be open more for more specific purposes, like if you have a benefits question maybe. Okay, why don't you get out of the chat? Close the whiteboard. Now, see, if you didn't have a camera, oh, this is another good example. Not everybody has to have a camera in order to make use of this. Now you can see they pulled up a whiteboard. So just like I could write on here, I could write on the whiteboard, and of course I could save that. Now Rhonda's going to open up a file. And what she has saved in this file is a screenshot of Siebel 98. That's a new contact management system that we're going to start using.
Yeah?
And there aren't too many people that have seen this screenshot before, and so she wants Sajitha to be able to look at this and see if she wants to make any changes to it. So now Sajitha, maybe?
I think we must remove Leon Abbey from our client list.
Okay, well, what do you think about,
You probably can't see it because of the yellow highlighter, but she's highlighting this and pointing to that. And Rhonda's circling this. Why don't you use a different color that might show up better? So she's saying, take this,
It seems to be quite
move that over to there.
early. Can we postpone it to like,
And so they can work on this
June of this year?
remotely. So they don't have to be in a big meeting room where we have this up here and we're scribbling on this. And once all these changes are made, you can print this out, you can save it. Again, you can put it up to a web page where everybody else can review what you guys worked on together.
what do you think?
And you see the little hand? She can move a little hand around and point to different things. And I don't know if I pointed it out earlier, but when the other system was moving their cursor around when they were collaborating, you
probably
could see
we
the
should
little
also
cursor with their
include
initials at the bottom, so you could see where their cursor on the other system was. Okay?
Do you think it's a good idea?
Okay, enough working on Siebel. We gotta
Okay,
get
that's
back.
Sable.
Okay, did we show everything for that meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Make sure we didn't miss anything. Going forward, chat.
Trans-
Oh, file transfer. Okay, now Rhonda has that whiteboard file, and she made all the changes, she wants to transfer it to Sajitha. All she has to do is go into file transfer.
Okay, I'm gonna be sending you a file now.
Okay.
And she just picks the file. There's really not much to see here. And it's going to transfer it through the network. This even has, you can share clipboards. So if Sajitha were to do an edit copy into her clipboard, and Rhonda was collaborating, and Rhonda does an edit paste on her system, it actually goes into her clipboard. So it's like
Can you
a
send me something as well?
virtual.
Sure.
Just a text file.
She's going to send something small, and we'll see how it works. And then you can accept it or not. And it just stores it in the directory.
It's all that
Yeah, let's-
I think you should check my
Yes.
autoexec.batch file.
Okay, send it.
See, it popped up file and it shows it sending it. Okay, let's talk about the software a little bit. This particular software application is Microsoft's NetMeeting, and it is free from Microsoft. And that's always a good price to be. So all of you can install it on your systems if you want to play around with it. If you want the
get it?
cameras,
I got it.
if you want some of the cameras, the costs are coming down right now. We're experimenting with some different ones of different quality. There's other software. There's something called CUCMe, and that allows multiple people. You could have, let's say, 8 different pictures all on one screen. So if you needed to talk with lots of people and you needed to see their pictures of lots of people, you could use something like that. And that is, what, about $50? I'm not sure that costs money.
Yeah, it was like 49.
Yeah. IRC chat software, that comes into here. There's an IRC or interrelay chat from Microsoft that you can download for free. The Java application we have on our website is free. And again, if you go to our website, I believe we have links to all this software, or we will soon. Okay, so you can try that out. Some of the server software, in order to make all this work so that I can connect, rather than knowing a person's IP address, I can connect to whoever's logged on. If you show them the directory, right now there just happen to be 2 people logged on to this particular directory server. Microsoft has that you can put on an NT server, and there's no cost for that. So you can see that it's listed there.
Is this
Oh,
a
Jen-
T?
Jennifer.
This is NT, but it runs on both. The ILS, the server, the directory server, I believe only runs on NT. But you can run NetMeeting on 95 or NT. So there's the directory, yeah?
I have pretty much all of this set up at home myself. Is this location where I can go to find out who is available in the directory? And is there a site that I can go to actually collaborate with someone online?
If you are you dialed in to the nationwide network? Yes. If you go to a4637.lco.nwnie.net, then you'll get this directory server. And if any of you want to try this, experiment with it, feel free to let us know, and we'll set up something so you can try it. Talking about using it from home, I've used this from home before and actually carried on video conferences for several hours, and it's worked just fine. We had some problems because I was using the lower end equipment. Like you heard the echo, it didn't have the echo cancellation, and there were some other problems with it. So what we ended up doing was we used a speakerphone in combination with this. So even though I didn't get the sound through here, and I had the video, since it wasn't synced up, I was able to use the telephone, and I still could use the collaboration part of it, and I could still see the people I was talking to. So you don't strictly have to use all the features of NetMeeting. So if you don't have a camera or you don't have a good connection,
Just to do that, you might have to have 2 phone lines if you were calling in from home.
right? That's very true.
But of course, one has that.
Or, wow, or a cable modem, which we won't get into this time, but yeah, you have to have 2 phone lines to do that. And the other thing is bandwidth. Since you probably dial in with like a 56 KB modem or something, you may not be able to get your picture and your sound to work together. So what I do, my family's up in Cleveland, and my mom and my brother both have setups with NetMeeting. And I dial into the internet, and I can talk to them and I can see their pictures, but we always have them pause the picture because there's the issue of bandwidth. If they're sending the picture, it comes through okay, but then there's no bandwidth left for the sound. So we usually get the picture,
Or paused.
frozen in time. But if you have lots of bandwidth, like you're here on the internal network, then that's really not an issue. So you saw that they could talk and they could see the pictures at the same time. They're working on a lot of things to solve that problem, mainly compression. Like you'll see, this system will be better here. If they take the video and compress it, and they try and, for example, this picture, if there was a person sitting here and they were moving around, or you might not be able to see it, but this is moving.
Can we toss the Jeep and
This
go over
picture
there?
is, yeah, why don't we go ahead and show this one now?
Jeep,
Yeah?
why don't you go ahead and go over to the picture tell system?
The system is smart enough that it doesn't send this background every time. It knows that the background hasn't changed, so it doesn't resend that. So it doesn't take any bandwidth to send that. It saves it. This system here is kind of dumb, and it just sends the whole picture. It does compression, but it still sends the whole picture.
Because it's free.
Because it's free. You get what you pay for, right? Is Jeetha headed over to this one now?
Yeah.
Do you need
Where's?
extra hardware to compress the image, or it's this Microsoft package?
That's, yeah,
Is the
it depends.
If you want real-time compression, you have to feed the video to some board and then.
Right. Well, let's talk about hardware while she's getting set up. This particular camera right here plugs into a card that does some compression. Not as much as this, but this particular camera and card combination is about $400.
So it's not just
It's not just a camera, right? You need something.
invest $400 on a board.
Right. That's the card and the camera combined. It's about $400. I'm explaining the hardware right now. I'll be right with you. Can you hear me? Maybe? Can you hear me, Sangeeta? Uh-oh. You may have to have the backup plan. Right, so for that you need a card and a camera. Now, some of the new cameras, does anybody on their system have a universal serial bus? Okay, well, you will. Some of the new systems are coming out with USB ports, and if you've never seen it, you can look here. This is what it looks like. It just plugs in. This, you don't need a card, you don't need anything. All you do is plug it in and smile for the camera, and you're done. Of course, you have to set up the software like that meeting.
And that camera is $100?
This is about $130. So that's all you need, $130 and you're done.
For those of you that have computers without universal serial bus, they also make one with parallel port connection. So basically you plug it into your parallel port and then you actually plug this into your keyboard, plug your keyboard into here because it generates power off the keyboard and communicates through the parallel port.
So was this one, you're not transferring the digital image, you're transferring the analog image, so just the color and then you'll really see it someplace instead of
This is actually, this inside of here actually digitizes the analog image. The compression and digital digitization is in here, believe it or not. So
It's all in the same.
out here does not come any analog at all, it's all digital. So this is sent through the USB port into the software, and then that meeting just has to take that image and ship it off down the wire over to here. This camera is virtually the same thing as this, and this is, in fact, I think the same price, about $130 today, which will be, of course, like all computer equipment, cheaper next month, next year, whatever. But this also does the same conversion to digital and capture, and it sends it through the parallel port. Now, the reason you would not want to use this is because this is the slowest of all cameras and the least quality of all the cameras, but it's the cheapest. So this is the low end. This is a step up, except you need a USB port, which almost every computer they sell today, brand new, has one of these USB ports on it. The next step up, this is from a company called Winov, W-I-N-N-O-V, and that's about $400. The nice thing about this is if you take the camera, you can use this camera and you can get a pretty decent picture actually. And the board that plugs it, you have to plug a board in, which is one disadvantage of this. But it has inputs for something like a camcorder. So if we took the videotape of this and we played it back through here, then you would actually be able to do a couple things. It would look like it was live. You could use your camcorder as a video input, and you could also capture it. So you could capture it, and then you'd have on a CD or on your hard drive, you'd actually have your video. So that's one advantage of that, is you can do video capture.
I'm assuming this is a digital camera right here, video camera.
Yeah, this is,
What if you use an analog video camera?
it's the same thing.
Going through your card, it would digitize it in the card?
Yes, it would.
Okay.
Right. This, actually, if we were going to take the source from here, we would use the analog output of this, even though it's a digital video camera, and we would store it onto here. The other way to get video off of here, which if you come to our Tech Talk in, 2 or 3 months, we're going to talk about digital video,
Right.
and that's a whole other subject, but this has several ways you can get the digital video out. But for the most part, you'd use analog. So any camcorder in the world that has an analog output,
Right.
you can use it.
What is the big difference in quality between these and using like an analog video camera? As long as you have the card, what is the difference in quality?
The disadvantage to these is the lens.
Okay.
It's very, very small. And if you look at that, it's really small. If you look at the lens on that, it's big. So it's really not so much the the analog signal as it is the optics and the old-fashioned, just, the bigger the lens, the more the glass, the better the quality you get. I think that's really not a bad picture for a low-end camera, and they're only getting cheaper.
Right. I guess what I was thinking was nowadays you can buy a video camera for $299 for a
Right.
decent video camera. Would that be a good way to go? Because you can use it not only for purposes
still
like
would
this,
need
but also
the
something you can take on
compression
vacation
card.
with you.
Well, you still need the card.
Which you can get for like, what, 99 bucks?
Yeah, right. The other thing to think about is the quality of the card. It's always, you get what you pay for, pretty much. This card is a pretty good card if you get one of those $99 cards, as opposed to this card, if you bought it separately,
Probably a
I'm
couple
not sure.
$100.
A couple hundred. But if you get a cheaper card, the picture may not be as good. The other reason that you don't want to use even a cheap camcorder is, would you rather wear out a $300 camcorder, or would you rather wear out a $50 camera?
Well, I was just thinking about you taking a vacation,
Right,
doing
you can.
everything,
Yeah,
and then come back and show someone your vacation.
right, absolutely. Who's ringing?
Probably
She called.
if you choose rather than the white picture, you want a better resolution instead of color.
Can you hear it?
Since you don't have $63.
Yes, that's true. Most people are going away from black and white cameras, but you're absolutely right. If you have color, it's basically 3 times the bandwidth. You can take and set the quality of this so that the quality degrades and use less bandwidth and you get a worse picture. So it's a trade-off. Do you want worse quality, sharper picture? Do you want color? Do you want black and white? You don't see very many black and white cameras these days. Instead, they're trying just to do it all electronically and take the color picture, convert it to black and white, and then send it in. So yeah, that would work. Okay. Do we have this working?
I'm not sure.
What we're seeing here, or what we hope to see here,
But it's showing us a picture of the picture coming out. Except it's a static
can you
picture.
right mouse click on the picture? Oh. Okay. Well, if she gets it working,
Can I
What?
ask a question about a discussion we had earlier? You talked about bandwidth from home. You had to still your picture because the audio with the video, you said you didn't have enough bandwidth, correct?
right.
Is that true when you said you did it for a few hours from home, you had to still your video? Or do you have a cable modem? Or
I have
how
a
did you
cable
do it?
modem.
Okay.
Yeah.
So-
Okay, well, let's talk about the network a little bit. My example from home is probably not typical. There's something called a cable modem, which if you have Time Warner service, for $40 a month, you can get that service. And so I have the cable modem at home, and I connect to the internet. Well, that doesn't do me any good, right? Because I want to talk to somebody in Nationwide. There's something called virtual private network. And the way that works is, I'm at my house, I connect into the internet, Nationwide is connected to the internet. I run this software, it's a tunneling software, it's a virtual private network software. It encrypts everything on my end. It sends it through the internet to a server, which Nationwide has here in the building, and it's of course very fast. And then that server decrypts all my traffic, and it lets me on the backbone, just as if I plugged into the wall over here. So it looks to me like I'm on Nationwide's network, just like I am here. And you don't have to use your phone line. So if you use it a lot, and you already have your ISP, if you drop your usually $20 a month ISP, if you drop your second phone line, which is about $15 a month, and you pay $40 a month for the cable modem, you about break even, except you get less faster access. And it really does look, I've used it probably for about 6 months now or more, and it really does look just like you're on the network. So if you want to use electronic collaboration at home, I'd highly recommend that.
Can we qualify?
How many days can you work from home?
Technically, I could probably work from home anytime I'm not giving a live demo like this. And even if I was giving a demo, I could probably give it through video conferencing. Now, do I? No. The culture, there's the actual being able to work from home 4 out of 5 days or 5 out of 5 days, and then there's the culture within just everybody. Do they all buy into the fact that you can do it? Now, IBM is really trying to push forward with that, and not just IBM. I know AT&T and other companies are, where they encourage certain people to work at home, and it saves them office space, so they don't have to build more buildings. And I don't know if you've seen the other part of this where they have little workstations set up over here. That is what IBM, for one person, is trying right now. They have workstations set up, cubicles set up, and you don't have a cubicle. You get assigned a cubicle. So you work at home, and maybe you want to come into the office for one day, and they assign you, okay, your cubicle number 59. And you just go in, you have a phone, you have a computer, and all your calls are routed automatically to that telephone. And of course you have your computer that's just on the network. It doesn't matter where you're at. And you just plug into that. So instead of having room for 5,000 people, they might only have room for 500 people, and they just all share the cubicles. So that's what's coming. Let's talk about the networking for a little bit. Right now we're plugged into the Ethernet, and the connection between here and Plaza 3, where we're connecting to, probably is causing some of the slowdown. If we get this one working, which looks like we may not be able to see it, you would see it's really smooth, it's really fairly good quality. The difference with this PictureTel system is this is about $1,500 per workstation. So here's $130 versus $1,500. Now the question is, how important is it to have that good quality over the same bandwidth? One person using something similar to this is our Human Resources Department. And the reason they want a good quality is because they're doing interviewing. So there's some smaller colleges, and rather than going to these smaller colleges and just interviewing 1 or 2 people, traveling around Ohio, around the country, there's several hundred, maybe even 1,000 by now, I forget the exact number. Lots of different colleges that have this set up. And so if they want to just interview one person, it's no big deal. They just dial them up on the phone. They actually use something like ISD and some faster connection. And they get pretty good quality. And using something like the net meeting that we have, they can have their resume up, and they can highlight their resume, and they can show different things in there. So they use something like this. Our credit union right now today, if you've ever been out to Tuttle Crossing, there's a kiosk set up there, and it has the video conferencing set up. So rather than building an office at Tuttle Crossing when it was new, they didn't want to do that because they had all the people back here, so they have video conferencing. And that's been going on for a couple years now. How else are we using it?
You talked about the chat.
The high-end one. There's even the more expensive, in fact in here there's connections for it. They have the high-end unit of this for room conferencing that has a bigger, better camera and has a huge screen, and I think there's about maybe 15 of the subsidiaries, like Wausau. They have those units, and so they carry on meetings. And if you've ever used one of those, it's really impressive because it feels just like you're in the room with them. It's really amazing. Okay, let me cover a little bit more about the network. Internally here, we have right now plenty of bandwidth for us to experiment, but it's kind of like who's going to be first? Are we going to put out more cameras and use more bandwidth, and then the network people keep trying to up the bandwidth? So right now, if we put a camera on everybody's desk, it would just kill the bandwidth. But everybody doesn't necessarily need a camera. You can still use the net meeting to share documents. On the internet, if you want today if you have an internet connection and you want to talk to people all around the world, you can do that today, pretty much with voice and the still picture. It's a trade-off between those two. So if you have an internet connection, I encourage you to try it, because it's really a neat technology. I've talked to people in Germany and just all over the place, and it sounds just like they're right next door to you. It's really amazing. And of course, no long distance.
Is it? Oh. Where's my kids?
Yeah. It's only the cost of you getting connected to the internet. Now, of course, as more people find out about this, it's probably going to slow down the internet, and then they'll make the internet faster, and it's just a cycle that keeps going. We gonna get that working? Okay.
Some of the potential uses that they're looking at that they aren't currently doing within Nationwide, but they're trying to do. One is web-based training, trying to train the agents. Typically, if there's any type of training that needs to be done, they need to bring all the agents together to one location. And the travel cost that's involved in doing something like that, as far as taking the agents away from their jobs, is an incredible amount of money. So they're looking at using some type of software similar to NetMeeting, but that simulates a classroom where people can raise hands, break off into special groups, and have the instructor visit the different groups and come back together, things like that, to train the agents. To do also, they have continuing education requirements. They'd be able to use some type of training like this to get their continuing education. Also, the subsidiary that we are starting over in Hong Kong, we did talk with the person that's responsible for that, and they are potentially looking at using some type of video conferencing to keep in communications with us back here. And the cameras, we have installed some of the cameras on a couple of the executives' desks. We installed one on Ron Epley's desk and on Bruce Barnes' desk as well. So they could be in the directory server if you get hooked up to the directory server. And
Right, you may see
if you
Bruce
see their
Barnes
name,
or-
give them a call, because they have cameras.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. The distance learning one is really neat. We saw a demo of it, and like Jennifer said, you can be listening to it. You can virtually raise your hand, and the teacher can call on you, and then everybody else logged into this conference from all over the country potentially can hear your question, and they can hear the teacher's response. So if each of you had this software on your desk, we wouldn't have to have this conference room. We could be doing this all virtually. Anybody could log in. Something else I was going to say about that. Distance learning. Any other questions?
Just checking my hand.
No, you don't put the machine, you just connect it and try to go directly to.
It won't show the quality of the pictures on
We're looking at it now, but.
Well,
yeah.
Tom, and as you were explaining this high end, that they built these conference rooms up here to be able to do the very, very high end, how many thousands of dollars?
It's $40,000 for the room conferencing systems, but of course that's coming down.
But they're available for anybody to use. You can just call a central number and reserve any of these rooms. The first conference room is one of the rooms, right? Is this one as well, one of the rooms?
I don't know.
If you have any need to do video teleconferencing with any of your customers, if they're not located here in the
Right.
building.
Yeah. And if anybody wants to try any of this stuff or set it up, just let us know, because we're trying to find business uses for this. And we're trying to find people that use this maybe on a regular basis. In fact, there's a group of people, about 40 people, that are moving off-site, and they're hoping to use this stuff to communicate with. So we'll see how that works too. Did I miss anything? The news. There's also some other thing that's sort of related to collaboration, is the live broadcasts on the web. So there's radio stations, television stations that are taking video and they're broadcasting it live on the internet. So if you want to tune into a radio station, you can throw away your old radio. I think QFM is doing it in town here. I'm not sure what the other ones are. But you can listen to radio stations from Australia, from Hong Kong, from Florida. Just tune in on the internet and you use something called a real audio player. And has anybody tried that? Isn't that really amazing? In the future, I think that's going to be a way a lot of radio stations deliver their information. In fact, there's at least one right now that doesn't even broadcast except on the internet. So they're trying that out. And it's going to be the same way. They're hoping that commercials are going to pay for that. So we'll see. Is that gonna work?
No, we can't, the network died on it, we can't
Okay,
get back.
some network.
And with the real video on the internet, if there's a program that you missed that was on television, if they've taped it, you didn't have to have taped it on your VCR. You could go to the internet. For example, CNN FN has something called Digital Jam, which keeps you up to date on the latest technology, and they broadcast that a couple times a day. But if you miss it on television, you can go to their website and just watch the video of that half an hour.
Okay.
So
how many
VCRs will go
people
away.
now? Let's ask the question now. How many people now, if your boss would let you and everything else, and you had all the equipment, could do their job at home 4 out of 5 days a week? Anybody change their mind? Oh, good, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is that a 6?
Yeah.
All right. Good,
Sure.
good.
Maybe
Okay,
That
So,
wasn't the
maybe
first
3
question.
3 days.
3 days.
That wasn't the original question.
What was the original question?
How many of you can work from home?
Oh,
All right, Matt.
okay, it was a loaded question.
So if we went to the problem in the beginning that Rhonda was having with Word,
Oh, yes, we forgot about Rhonda's problem. Can we
We can't get her
collaborate?
back on the phone, do you know what her number is?
I don't know what the number.
I told her to go back to the other PC and she kind of disappeared and I'm calling into this, but
I did write that, well. we
but you
can
could
show it.
probably tell us what we could have done then, and not have Sajitha there. But if
Oh,
Rhonda
no,
had
no.
a problem
Well,
with
that's all
Word,
right. Go back into Word.
is she there?
well, what I can do is I can come up here and say share Microsoft Word. And then when I bring this up,